Now, it's inevitable that you're going to need to cut a polygon at some point, so these lines were digitized on the basis of a Google Earth Air photo. This half has been harvested, this half is not, so it's no longer one polygon. Now, before I start, I'm going to create a new copy of this, and not just a new layer. The new layer is just a new way to display the same information. I'm going to create a whole new file so I can modify that file. So if I right-click on this and say Duplicate Layer, that makes a new way to display the same information. If I go down to Export Save Feature As, that creates a whole new file. I can then do different things, and the old file remains the same. Under File Name, hit the 3 dots, and I'm going to call this New Stands Thompson.shp. Confirm I'm in the right coordinate reference system, which is the EPSG 26919, which is NAD83, UTM Zone 19 North. Very good. Add saved file to map. Okay, there it is. And now I'm going to change that so I can see through it again. Go to Simple Fill. I'm going to make that a no brush, and then the stroke color a nice bright red. And I'm going to make that 0.46 millimeters. There we go. Now right click and toggle editing. The feature can now be edited, and you see we have some different tools up here. So you need this toolbar, which is the Advanced Digitizing toolbar, which you can find under View, Toolbars, Advanced Digitizing toolbar if you don't have it already. With the feature you want to split selected and editing mode on, select the Split Features tool. So what it's looking for is a line that defines the new boundary between stands or between whatever two parts of the polygon you want to split. Just like in Google Earth, that line has to start outside of the polygon that you want to split. So I'm going to click once with a left click and see how it's got that little dashed red line. You want to make sure that line is there. Sometimes it doesn't hear you, and then you do your second click and it starts in the wrong spot. After the first click, any second click defines a vertex. So you can sort of trace a line along. Once you end up outside, so you see just like Google Earth there, right click, and that defines the new boundary. Say I don't like that, say I missed a spot there, I really want this to go out this way. Just Control Z. And try again, left click, confirm you have your line going there, click, click, click your way along the boundary, and again you have to end with your last left click outside, then right click to finish. When you're done, you'll be able to select these independently, so this is no longer connected to that. Now when I did my stand classification, I classified on the basis of this part of the polygon, because it's slightly bigger, maybe. But now I need to update this, so this, if I open up my attribute table here, if I scroll down to the one that's selected, that's hardwood, size class 3, stocking level C, less than fully stocked, in a regenerating condition. But this one, I have to go back to the attribute table here. This one, wherever it happened to end up, there it is. That one should be an H3A. So just change that to an A. When you're done, right click, Save Layer Edits, right click, Toggle Editing. Now let's use our Identify Feature tools to confirm that's changed. So we have H3C, see outlined in red there, and then this one, H3A. So that's a very similar concept to how we originally drew those lines. So again, right click, toggle editing, and then split features. And then when you're done, you can deselect the features and now see all of your underlying data. Say we want to go the other way. These two were different enough before, but the treatment has left them in a similar condition. We can use our Select Features tool, click, hold, and drag across their boundary so just those two are selected. Then go ahead and merge selected features. What it's doing is giving you the attributes for both features that you're proposing to merge and what their proposed output is. So we have ID 69 and ID 71, both mixed wood, both stocking class C, but different size classes. I'm going to make a decision here, just double click on that and make that a size class 2. So in the process of merging these, you have the opportunity to update the attribute table. Here we have an example of how when you have something like acres, that area field does not necessarily update itself. It's just a piece of text stored in the attribute table. I could rerun the calculation for area in the attribute table after this, but since I just have one, I can do 91.898 plus 30.646 equals 122.554. And now I have the correct area for those combined features. Hit OK, and now we have just one feature where before, you see this is our old stand layer here. Now we just have one stand. Looking at this now on the modern era photo, this seems to be a unit, this is a unit over here, and this is a unit over here. So what do? We split this feature. So this is now combined into one, this will be another, and this will be another. So we're going to go ahead and split the feature. Click once outside, click again, and again, and again, and again. And it doesn't matter how far outside here you click, as long as it's just splitting that one feature. So that's split there now. And likewise, click once, click again, again, and again, and right-click to end. Now I'm going to combine these two, which I can do by selecting them both. Merge the features selected. I'm going to have to accept these attributes for now, but this 122 acres, this is not from that. That is the number we calculated for this whole stand, not for this little part of it, but it still kept that same attribute because it's just a piece of text stored in that table. So what I'm going to do is mark this so I don't mistakenly use it later, and I'm going to use 9,999, which is bigger than any stand I have and will stand out if I'm ever scrolling through the attribute table. Okay. And this one, I see sort of a line here, so I'm going to merge these two together and then split. So I'm going to select both, merge both, and likewise, I can't trust that, so 99999, okay. And now I'm going to go and split that same thing I just merged, just in a new spot. So one click out, in, and then along this new line here. Right click, and now we have a new stand boundary. And I could and should do the same thing here. So see that there. I have to go ahead and merge those together. And again, 999, there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and split that along where it ought to be now. So that's just updating. And there we go. And I have some other issues here. So I can do the same thing, and it doesn't have to be straight lines. So I can click, click, trace around the outside there, just like when you're digitizing in Google Earth. There you go. So now that's a stand. That's a bit of an oddly shaped stand, but still a stand, which I'm now deciding ought to be a part of this one. So I'm going to select both of those, and instead of one oddly shaped stand, I can have two of those. And again, because I cut that piece out, that's going to be wrong. So 9999. Okay, and there we go. Now, does it make sense to consider these two both the same stand? I see some differences in canopy size there. So now I'm going to just split that again, because why not? Click, click, right click, split. I'm not happy with myself for missing that corner, so I'm going to hit Control Z, undo that, and then I'm going to go right through that corner, click again, right click, and we're done. So now I've updated my stand boundaries, and there's work I could still do here, but that's how it's done. Now I need to update my attribute table so these areas that I calculated before, or left with 999 placeholders, get updated to where they ought to be. Same as before, right click, open attribute table, open up our field calculator here. Instead of creating a new field, update the existing field. It wants to know which one, so you select from the drop down here, acres. Like before, $area, which accesses the area value in the units of the coordinate system, which in this case is square meters, times the conversion factor from square meters to acres, which is 0.000247,105, but suggest you just Google square meters to acres and use that conversion factor. I've scrolled down in the attribute table so we can see the 9999 placeholders, and I want you to watch those when I hit OK here. So, OK. And now they're fixed. You'll notice that everything moved here. It's just reordered here. But if we scroll down to 63, now we have 14.288 acres, where before it was 9999. That's a step you want to do pretty much any time you're cutting, splitting, or merging polygons, except in the very simplest of circumstances like that first example we saw. It becomes massively important because say you had this situation like this where, oh, this is 122 acres. You go out, you do an inventory and say, oh, I have 20 quarts to the acre times 122 acres. Oh, you are way off now. If you miss that mistake and tell a logger, oh, I've got 122 acres of 20 quarts to the acre, why don't you come out and work on me? He comes out and finds, yeah, you've got 20 quarts to the acre, but you've got that on 14.288 acres. That's not the same chance. So always watch out for your areas when you're updating things. Good way to fix something into a big mistake. So again, when you're all done, right-click, Save Layer Edits, right-click, Toggle Editing. And now check back on and see that's where our old boundaries were, and that's where our new boundaries are.